My name is Martin Lee. I'm from the Bay Area, California. I live in a small town called Pacifica, which is basically like a beach city that's maybe about 10 miles away from San Francisco itself, right off the coast. And it's been really peaceful. Life's been great since I moved over there. I started martial arts in 1995, and that was when I was shipped off to boarding school, and I was taught Tai Chi by monks. I only lasted a year there because it just was a rough transition for me.
Yeah.
Then I went back and I wanted to learn martial arts, but my parents wouldn't allow me to go learn because they thought I would beat up kids. I don't think that would have been the issue. So I technically took what I learned from Tai Chi and self-taught myself by watching martial art movies. Didn't really know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Then after I finished high school, I got myself a job, got into the field. I was initially as a paramedic, and I realized that there was a lot of violence in the ambulance, so I had to find a way to defend myself. So I was really big on Wing Chun, so I was finally able to go and pay someone to teach me Wing Chun, and I did that for about a year. And then I stopped doing that, and then I picked up Filipino martial arts. Did that for 3 years, and then after that, there was some political stuff going on, and I just didn't want to be a part of it. So therefore, I picked up MBC, and I've been doing it since then, hardcore.
And when did you start MBC?
2018.
Okay. Excellent. So your boarding school had Tai Chi?
Yeah, they were taught by monks.
That's amazing.
So,
where was that located?
Ukiah.
Okay.
It's called the City of 10,000 Buddhas. And they literally had 10,000 Buddhas, like inside the monastery. It's crazy.
Kind of love it. I mean, I don't know if I get stock footage to put that over this interview with 10,000 Buddhas, but I would, that would be great. So why MBC? What appealed to you about the system?
So martial blade concepts, I was studying it when I was doing FMA and Filipino martial arts. And at that time, it was my buddy we were both into knives. And we always loved reverse grip, and we had Mike Janish's DVD from like back in the day. So we started watching it. I was like, whoa, this is like real tactics and stuff. And then we started looking at what Mike was teaching versus what I was learning from different type of styles. And then I realized that it was the stuff that I was learning before was just really artistic. It's cool if you actually practice like for 20 years and develop that skill. Yeah, it could be effective. But I don't think I wanted to put in 20 years, and just watching how Mike would explain everything, explain the why to why we did things, and especially in a legal implication, that's what really drew me to MBC. Because being a duty-bound individual, I can't just bust out a knife. And I didn't understand when I could or could not pull out a knife. I thought I could just brandish it and scare someone. They never taught me that in FMA, but learning from Mike and watching the DVDs and what's justified and what's not, that really gave me some strong idea of what the real world is like if you decide to pull your knife and defend yourself, not knowing what the legal implications would be.
Right. And I suppose the counterblade concepts really helps in your line of work.
Absolutely.
Too.
Absolutely. With the arm, there's the go-to arm bar. I always thought that was so stupid. But when Mike broke down the physiology of it and how the simplicity of it, it really worked, especially being where I'm at on the ambulance, where the gurney is facing right there. And for those mentally unstable patients or the patients who are intoxicated, methed out, the only way I can control them is by limiting their mobility to their shoulder joint because they can't feel pain.
Yeah.
So anatomy and physiology, it makes sense. And it was all the moves were very instinctual, things that I didn't have to take 20 years to learn.
Yeah.
And that was what did it for me.
So it was a necessity, effectively at that point, to learn something to help mitigate those risks that you're facing on the job.
Absolutely. Because we're not allowed to really go hands-on. Like if someone punches us, we can't punch them back. We're not allowed to do that. Mm-hmm. There's people that have done that and they've gotten fired and they've gotten sued. And it's very political when it comes down being a duty-bound employee.
Yeah. I think that's what appealed to me about martial blade concepts was the fact that it was applications. Like you're learning how these things can help you immediately. I mean, I love martial arts like Bagua and Tai Chi, the big, beautiful movements.
Beautiful.
And, you know, they have their applications and they have their place, but, you know, to study it for 15, 20, 30 years before you can really implement it well, it's just not really a luxury that we have.
I agree. Well, also in California, you can't really conceal carry there. And what can we carry? A knife. So that was what really drew me too. And, you know, in the Bay Area, the Filipino martial arts community is huge. And, you know, I've seen it all, and they had nothing compared to what Mike had to offer. But what martial blade concept is, it's still borrowed from Filipino martial arts. Everything that we do is from Filipino martial arts. They basically invented knife fighting because of how they had to protect themselves in the battlefield. So simplifying it and taking proven tactics that work in the battlefield, but take how Mike is teaching it in a legal implication in a urban setting. Oh man, dude, that was definitely a huge game changer for me.
Yeah.
Especially being tapped into the Filipino martial arts community.
I suppose that your background in Wing Chun perhaps helped a little bit. I think if you look at Wing Chun, I studied it a little, but from what I know of the history, it's not such a flowery martial art, but it was meant to be able to be learned rather quickly.
It helped me learn like linear, putting people off their center line, and that really made sense to what we do here by putting someone on the triangle. And yes, that did come from the Wing Chun side of me, but learning the applications and being able to do it more, I guess you can say fluid, was from my Filipino martial arts background.
You're an MBC instructor.
I hope so. Yes, I am.
I mean, we'll
Yes.
have to check the records, but
Yes, I am.
what made you want to become an MBC instructor?
That's a very good question. It was something that I lacked in my life, which was teaching. I didn't know how to teach. I've always wanted to teach, but I was so afraid of it. And I knew that MBC was my calling. Like I've been looking for this my entire life. And I was like, I have to learn how to teach it. How can I teach it? And I didn't understand logics and concepts of martial arts. Like always learn your basics, but Mike really broke down the basics. And being able to take what I've learned with Mike and really dive deep into the rabbit hole of concepts, I basically learned how to teach using Mike's concepts. I failed multiple times because, you know, of nerves and everything, but you just got to pick yourself back up and try again. And eventually you'll get it right. And have I gotten it right yet? You know, here and there, but I'm still learning. There's no way I teach like Mike, but I still try to teach. I try to teach people who's never been able to protect themselves, never done martial arts, and my goal is to give them life-saving techniques and knowledge and have them learn it as quickly and efficiently as possible. So how can I do that in a short amount of time? Mm-hmm. And I just practiced and practiced, record Mike when he was doing his PowerPoint. I would sit and just watch and try to memorize it. And then I realized memorizing didn't work, but understanding the logic of how he broke everything down step by step. And then when you see it that way, it's actually a lot easier to teach versus memorization. I always thought memorization was how teaching worked. That's not the case.
Yeah, the rote method of just,
yeah,
I'm gonna absorb this, I'm gonna memorize it, and then that's the way I'm gonna teach somebody else.
Yeah, I wanted to face my fears, and just people said I couldn't do it. The greatest revenge is with massive success.
Absolutely. Have you taught any of your coworkers some of these techniques that have helped you on the job?
Yeah, the people that reach out to me, that follow me on social media, but I really try to keep my work and what I do with MBC separate. Like I literally go to work, go home. Mm-hmm. If people start asking me about what I do, I'll give them the answer. And if they want to continue to pursue and learn from me, then yeah, I'll teach them. Otherwise, I don't want to waste my time. But to answer the question, yes, I have taught probably about 2 coworkers.
Okay, so let's just back up here a little bit. Marty Lee, AKA Train Until Forever. right? That's your handle on Instagram.
Correct.
Okay. So I've been I've been following you for a while, actually, before. I think that's how we actually met, other than at camp.
I think, yeah, through Adam Boyce.
Yeah, through Mr. Spartan Mode himself, who unfortunately can't be here today.
Miss you, brother.
I'm crying on the inside.
I am.
And a little on the outside, but I'm not on camera right now, so you can't see it.
He's crying.
So you started a group of, is this an official thing of Asians? You have like your Asian training thing, or is
That's
this, is
no,
this
it's
kind of
just
a kidding
it's just
around?
kind of what happened.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like knife stuff is like really about Filipino martial arts. And they don't have anything that's so logical and so simple, and especially with a everyday carry knife, right? So when I brought that to the community, and that was my goal, to introduce martial blade concepts to the FMA community and just have them understand that, hey, you can't carry a dagger. You shouldn't be disarming and stabbing, because then it goes from self-defense to potential assault and murder with a deadly weapon, or murder, right? Mm-hmm. So having myself teach all these basic concepts and legality of MBC, people are like, oh my God, I never even thought about that, but it's so simple.
Yeah.
So because of the FMA community, I just happen to be around a lot of, Asians, and that's just happened to be that way. And, sometimes I look at my pictures and I'm like, oh my God, there's a lot of Asians in here. And that's so funny that you brought it up. So, but it's unintentional. It's just whoever comes. I teach whoever.
Yeah.
That's willing to learn, who has no ego, who's always a student, who wants to better their life, who wants to protect themselves.
Yeah. So the value of MBC, we kind of touched on, you're sort of have this magnetism for your Asian friends who want to learn this, but it's just a product of being close to the Filipino martial arts community. But looking at like the last year and a half, there's been a lot of hate towards Asians and a lot of crime against them.
Absolutely.
And I think there's been an uptick. And you're obviously not being selective of who you teach, other than them being good people, right? But looking at how society has, I think that's every generation. They say, the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and in my day it was better. But I think there's just been a noticeable shift, probably in the last year and a half, where things have gotten pretty spicy. Mm-hmm. How do you, thinking about the context of that and martial blade concepts, where do you see that importance coming in?
Oh, it's very important, especially to the elders, the Asian elders who actually have gotten attacked, and the problem is they're not being aware, and they're not trying to be avoidant. Like every time when I walk through Chinatown, all the seniors are just looking down, and I'll just brush right past them. And they don't even look at me. It's crazy. They're making themselves easy targets. So yeah, I want to educate them, because I know they don't have the strength to defend themselves. But let's just change the tactics. It is tactics, but not of physical strength, but of the mind. So it's like, hey man, if you're gonna carry your groceries, carry it in your left hand, so you have your right hand, your dominant hand, to be able to push out of the way, but before you enter your house, just look. Or if you're at a stoplight, if there's no one around, you should look to see if anyone's coming. Because if you're by yourself and you're old, that can be an easy target.
Right.
Don't go out at night. Just little simple stuff like that. And that's the goal. And that's what I'm trying to do through a couple nonprofits to help teach the Asian community. And one of the groups on Instagram is they're called Asians Are Strong, and they're two individuals who rallied everyone together, and they do free seminars in Chinatown and teach in Cantonese and Chinese to try to influence and educate the elders and whoever's walking by that wants to learn self-defense. And they brought me on a couple times, and I've done a couple videos for them. And then I have blockthehate.org, which is another nonprofit group that we're trying to raise money, where eventually I can go out and teach the communities who patrol the area of the neighborhoods where a lot of attacks happen, that we've trained them MBC, so they can be able to identify and see threats and be able to neutralize the situation legally and safely.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know you were doing those two things. So good on you.
Thanks, brother.
That's amazing. One of the things with martial blade concepts I think is very interesting is it's not like, well, you have to be able to lift X amount of pounds and have zero injuries in order to successfully use these techniques. Sort of teaching to the lowest common denominator of like, hey, you know, I got a bum shoulder or a bum knee, or I don't have much physical strength. So the system itself makes it so that, like you said, the elders, like almost anyone of any age should be able to find something that's effective for them for self-defense.
Well, that's based on their net violence, right? Mike was talking about that earlier. It's depending if they have any training, if they have the will to do it, you know, because then under stress, you have two options. You have that fight or flight, or you kind of just freeze like a deer in the headlights. So which one are you? Unless you have some training, I mean, most likely it's usually deer in the headlight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the Asians were seen as easy targets, because A, they are easy targets. Two, and they don't snitch. They don't want to cause any other problem. That's why we were targets.
Yeah.
And that's an issue.
And going back to that point about you know, hey, carry your groceries in your left hand, like don't be looking at the ground, situational awareness. I think most people, they don't really give much thought to the criminal mind. And most criminals pre-select their targets.
Absolutely.
They're looking for someone who's staring at their phone, who's not paying attention, whose maybe shoulders are slumped. They have poor posture. They don't carry themselves confidently.
They set themselves up for failure. There were a couple calls that I ran in a little sketchy neighborhood in the city, and we were there like every couple hours because there was assault. They got beat up and got stolen. And it came out to be Asian, older female who they were carrying bags with both hands of grocery, and they couldn't do anything. So there would be a car that comes out, grabs the purse, hit them a few times, jump back in the getaway car, and then they go. And then they end up calling us to evaluate because they got injured. And every time it was always because they were preoccupied with something else, and they made themselves as a target, and they know how to choose them. So all the bad guys know who to look for.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people also don't realize these people typically, you know, and Tom Gibbons talks about this a lot. They commit a crime. Maybe they're, go to detention center for juveniles, right? Maybe they pick some other stuff up there, some other skills that are not looked favorably upon by society. And then, perhaps they commit some more crimes as they get older, and they get better and better at these techniques. So of these, pre-selections of these little tips, I mean, they call it con college for a reason.
Exactly.
And, I think rehabilitating people is a whole nother subject for another day. But, there's some people that can rehabilitate and they change their path really well. Then there's others that just, they're going to take it as far to that one end of the spectrum as they can. And I think it's important for, everyone, like all ages, all races, all creeds, to learn some way of, one, defending themselves, two, learning to have that sort of preemptive behavior to like be deselected by a criminal, know what to watch out for, make smart decisions. Like, hey, maybe I shouldn't be in X neighborhood at X time.
Exactly. And if you are, just carry a flashlight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it takes. One little click flash to the eye, hand goes up, kick in the shin, slows them down, make the escape. It's very gross motor skills, and that's probably something that's easy you can carry. Because a lot of people are afraid to carry knives, or I don't carry pockets. But at nighttime, you should have a flashlight.
Yeah.
Because if you go into, it's also good for scanning. If you're about to turn a corner and you can't see halfway down the block, at least you shine, and then you can see that if there's nothing there, there is someone hiding out there. Oh, that guy or that individual is actually, being aware. So that person's not gonna be the target. So just simple things that doesn't really require much training.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can just get that out to the masses. But then you have all these other self-defense schools that say they're self-defense, but doesn't have the tactics behind it.
Right. Yeah, I think white light is one of the most underutilized tools. I carry a tactical flashlight with me every day. I have, the Surefires with the crenulated bezel. Like, obviously that could be used as an impact weapon.
Correct.
But when I'm traveling, my everyday flashlight carries a stiletto, Surefire stiletto. It's pretty unassuming. It gets through TSA, no problem. And a good thing with the white light is if you're in a slightly dark situation and you get a blast of that white light to the eyes, you are going to have a hard time seeing for a little bit.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think one of the best techniques someone can do is if they're being approached, they see these like grooming techniques, or maybe they feel like they've been selected. It's not against the law to shine a flashlight in somebody's eyes.
Correct.
And then while they're like, either they're going to reach up to their eyes or they're going to like turn their head, shine it down to their hands. Do they have anything in their hands? What are they doing? That might even create an opportunity for you to just remove yourself from that situation.
Exactly.
And another great point that I've heard from many trainers is, if this is a career criminal, they associate that bright white light with authority. So even if they're going to come after you, they've selected you, you shine that light, that will make them pause pretty hard. Or maybe, hey, I'm going to go select somebody else.
And that's just that simple. And you can carry that too in your hand legally at nighttime. People wouldn't think you're crazy,
Yeah.
And just little things like that. And we're just trying to reach the community that way.
Yeah. What do you like most about being part of the MBC family? What does it mean to you?
Oh, man. That it's the first martial art family that's really is a family, and they don't allow the politics to be involved, and if there is, it gets shut down super fast. And Mike is in control, and I think it's the way that he developed the system. It's like so logical. There's a why to everything, and if you question it, then Mike will have a rebuttal for it, and then we all learn it. That's why, and it evolves. It doesn't stay the same, and that's what we want. And that's what attracted me the most, because things do evolve. But with the family here, oh man, everyone just opens up with like, first day, never been here, first time at camp, man. No one's like a dick. There's no ego here. And if you step out there and you really want to learn, all the instructors will come to you and just teach. And that's why, like, Adam Boyce, when he found me, this is how I knew the family of MBC was legit. I met Adam Boyce at a FMA seminar with Doug Marqueta and Fred Mastro down in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. That's before, when I was still practicing FMA, but I dabbled through MBC through the DVDs with my buddies. I had no idea what we were doing, just watched DVDs. So we go down to the seminar, we're training with Doug, it was great. And then I see Adam Boyce, he had the MBC logo. I go, hey, you do MBC? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm an instructor. I'm like, oh man, where are you from? And he's like, oh, I'm over there in Idaho. I'm like, wow, you came out here to, SHOT Show, that makes sense, okay.
Yeah.
So then he goes, well, I can help you. I was like, here, take my number, and get my email, and what we'll do is, if you're free, we can do Zoom. I'll teach you through Zoom. And I was like, what a great idea. I got his number. He took my number down. We exchanged numbers, and then this is what did it. I go, hey, how much would a session cost? He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, how much would it cost for me to take your time to teach? He's like, dude, whatever, it's free. I want to help you. I want to help you learn this, because you seem like you're really into it and you have no instructors. I mean, the least I can do is connect you through the internet and try to walk you through everything. I was like, hell yeah. And, Adam never asked for money. Never. And then even with Rhonda and all the other guys that I called after camp my first year, so I just can have some type of information from an instructor, I called them all up and they're like, yeah, you got an hour? You free? Okay, cool. How much? And after conversation, I'm like, how much is it gonna cost me? He's like, no, it's nothing. So everyone was just wanted to help. That, I've never met any martial art community that did that. And these were instructors
Yeah.
They could easily charge if they wanted to.
Yeah.
And that reflects on who Mike is. And Mike, I go, is it okay if I call you like Master Janich? When I first met him, he goes, no, dude, just call me Mike.
I could just imagine the weird look he gave you when you asked that.
Yeah, so that's, and everyone, we all vibe off of Mike. And he attracts certain type of people. Like yourself.
Well, thanks.
Like Adam. Like everyone else here at camp.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird, sort of a magnetism. It's good people attracting other good people, teaching each other how to defend themselves, and then they can take that back to their families and to other people who need it. And I think, to put my idealist hat on, like that's stuff like that, that's what improves the world. That's what improves our communities. Mm-hmm. Just, understanding like, hey, we are going to defend ourselves. I was talking with Eric Kettleborn about this, that there's this very strange movement, I guess, or direction that society is headed. And it's like your personal well-being is not your own. We've outsourced that. Mm-hmm. And I think teaching people to take accountability for their own sense of personal safety is huge and can really, change the world for the better.
I agree. 100%. Absolutely.
Well, this has been great. And I think you probably should eat some dinner before we train more.
Thank you, brother. Honestly, appreciate all that you've done for camp, for me. It is definitely an honor to be interviewed by you.
Thank you. I have the utmost respect for you. You felt like a brother from the first time I met you.
Likewise, man.
And I just really appreciate you, and I appreciate all the good work you're doing.
Thank you, brother.
And happy to be part of the family with you.
Your family.
All right.
All right, brother.
Thanks.
Thank you. Has it been recording?
It's been recording this whole time.
Oh, shit.
All of our terrible jokes.
All right. Cut.
Oh, we're done? Okay.